What's up guys, shit just got real. Earthquake deals a ton of damage and has a huge area of effect. If you like the idea of total annihilation and want to set a record on the Richter scale, then this is the build for you. This build is viable for both softcore and hardcore gameplay. It deals a ton of damage and is incredibly tanky. Furthermore, the build is very budget friendly and can be played by both veterans and beginners alike. For defenses, this build makes use of a high amount of life, multiple endurance charges, tons of armor and a few castman damage taking setups, not to mention permanent fortify. And a quick note here before we begin, the character you see on screen uses less than optimal gear and is in no way reflecting the potential that the build is actually able to reach. Due to some time restriction and alpha stuff, this is what I had to go with. But anyway, your main damage setup consists of Earthquake, less duration, melee physical damage, physical to lightning, weapon elemental damage and added fire damage. Before you get yourself the Maroi Urki-Hammer, I'd suggest prioritizing increased area of effect as your fourth support gem. And to make this build even more mainly, you'll be using Vault Ground Slam, Multi-Strike, melee physical damage, physical to lightning, weapon elemental damage and added fire damage. Yeah, that sounded familiar, right? But to be honest, this setup isn't exactly necessary, but it just fits the theme so well, and I had nothing else I wanted for the setup. If you prefer, you can instead dedicate the sockets to whatever single target attack you'd like. It's completely optional. To generate endurance and frenzy charges and for extra mobility, you will need Enduring Cry, Leap Slam, faster attacks and Blood Rage. To further improve your defenses, I also recommend Castman Damage Taking linked with Immortal Call, Increased Duration and Molten Shell. With this setup, you will, whenever you take a big hit of damage, automatically proc Immortal Call and Molten Shell, thus making you immune to physical damage and greatly increasing your armor rate for a short duration. Finally, for a massive damage boost, you need Hatred and Herald of Ash. In the remaining two sockets, I would add in Flame Golem together with a Castman Damage Taking gem. By doing so, you don't have to worry about constantly resummoning the Golem for yourself. In order to use Earthquake, your character needs to reach level 28 and complete the quest Sever the Right Hand in Act 3. Before that, I recommend using Molten Strike linked with added fire damage and faster attacks to level with. If you're interested in spending a bit of currency on cheap leveling items, you can also greatly speed up the leveling process. In that case, I'd recommend you buy yourself a Limb Split, then a Wide Swing. At level 33 you can also get yourself a Reaper's Pursuit, then after that get yourself a Blood Reaper. And these weapons will carry you all the way until you can get yourself your endgame weapon, the Maroi Urki-Hammer at level 57. But I'll talk more about this hammer in just a few minutes. Skill tree progression is actually pretty simple with this build. You should start by picking up the various damage notables, then the life and mana leech over here, and the Golem slot notable down here. Then head towards the Marauder start and do the same for this area. From here, travel towards and pick up Resolute Technique. From here you need to travel into the Templar start and pick up the weapon elemental damage nodes, life, and the increased area of effect notable Amplify. Then pick up the frenzy charge down by the Duelist, and from here it's a simple matter of picking up the various remaining life, endurance charge, armor, jewel, and mace damage notables throughout the skill tree. Oh, and if necessary as a temporary solution, feel free to spec into the 30+ intelligence and dexterity notable over here and then spec out of them later in the game when you can cover the requirements via your gear. Please note that if you're looking for a more detailed step-for-step approach to spending your skill points while leveling, then make sure to check the leveling skill tree templates I've listed in the forum build guide. The link is in the description of the video. The Ascendancy class of choice for this build is the Champion. Here you need to pick up Unstoppable Hero, Fortitude and then finally Inspirational. This setup will make you significantly tankier by granting you a permanent amplified fortify buff and circumvent the downside of using the Maroi Urki-Hammer, namely that it reduces your movement speed, as with this Unstoppable Hero and Inspirational will more than make up for this. As for the bandits, you need to help Ogre on normal, kill them all in cruel, and help Kraden on merciless difficulty for the frenzy charge. For your gear, you primarily need to look for affixes such as added flat physical damage to attacks, weapon elemental damage, life and armor to make yourself more tanky, and of course enough elemental resistances so that you can be capped at 75% in Merciless. It is important to note here that unlike many other melee builds, that you should not focus on getting extra attack speed. A slow but heavy hit is much preferable with Earthquake, And if you need an explanation for this, you can check out my earthquake skill analysis video I uploaded a few days ago. I will post a link to the video in the description as well. And by the way, try to get a bit of intelligence and dexterity on your gear as well, as it will help you meet those skill gem requirements. As for unique items, I highly recommend that you get yourself the mighty Maroi Urki two-handed mace. It can be used as soon as level 57 and it will carry you all the way and through endgame. The great benefit of this mace is that it comes with an implicit level 15 area of effect support gem, thus freeing up an additional support gem socket for you to use. Besides that, it deals a ton of damage, and since fast attack speed is irrelevant with this type of build, the minus 10% attack speed is a non-issue. Besides that, if you can afford it, and if you want to take your defenses to the next level, then I'd suggest getting yourself a lightning coil armor. Not only does it grant life and a bit of armor, but more importantly it allows you to mitigate 30% of incoming physical damage as lightning damage, which then is mitigated by your lightning resistances, thus making you significantly tankier. It is an expensive item though, and it is in no way required. When it comes to jewels, I recommend looking for a mix of the following affixes: increased maximum life, physical damage, area damage, and dexterity or intelligence depending on what you need. The flask setup I recommend is 2 Divine Life Flasks of Staunching, 1 Amber Granite Flask of Iron Skin, a Basalt Flask, and an Amber Quicksilver Flask of Warding to help protect you against curses. And that's it guys, make sure to check the forum guide for more details and for future updates to the build. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them down in the comment section or in the forum post. If you liked the video and want to see more, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and bros, do you even nerd?